everybody? This is Cody, aka DFS Prodigy, coming to you live with Paul. If y'all don't know Paul, obviously he's from Pat Mayo. He's a really familiar guy, a funny guy. Obviously, he drunk beer from a shoe before. So if you don't know him, it's kind of hard not to know him. But I'll let you introduce yourself, my man. Go ahead. Tell me about you, my man.
Yeah, I'm Paul Shaughnessy. Doing the UFC breakdown stuff. Actually, me and my boy Cody, we used to do it when we were in college. Everybody else would talk about hockey. We're Canadians, so it's like everybody
Exactly.
exactly. Everyone has an opinion about hockey, but we used to do kind of dark shows of what we do still to this day. About 10 years ago, while we were in college, when everyone else was talking about hockey, we would be talking about UFC, and then worked at the same place, Fight Network together. Did that for 7 years, and it was under the banner Bookie Beatdown back in those days.
Yeah.
Things didn't exactly work out. Cody still works there. I don't.
Yeah.
And so we had to change the name when we got brought on by Pat Mayo. And really, we've been playing this game and doing this stuff for 10 years, and I love fights. And, if you can make a little bit of money on top of that, it's a good time.
Exactly, my man. But I must ask, why the Bills? Do you think they'll go to the Super Bowl this year, or what are we thinking?
Well, I'm from the Toronto area, so it's like I'm not. I live in Halifax now. We just moved Mayo Media Network out to these parts. Yeah. But I grew up in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, my entire life. So it's only 2.5 hours, just over the border from Toronto to Buffalo. So we get all the local Buffalo Bills games. It's been a it's been a hard run my entire life.
Interesting.
Most people in my family have already given up on the Bills at this point. But I feel like finally, after an entire lifetime of being a fan of them, things are starting to come together now. We have our quarterback. We've got all of the pieces. The defense is a little bit shaky, but if we can put up 30 points a game, I mean, we can play with the best of them on any given night. So it's an exciting time to be a Bills fan. But let me tell you, it's been quite a run to get here. A lot of pain.
Yeah, it's definitely something. But like I said, we're breaking down UFC. This is an interesting card, kind of a weak card, but I think there's a few light spots in it. I think there's definitely a few. But like I said, we're going to break it down fight by fight, kind of go up to the top. Obviously, it's the main event like we typically do. So starting off with the very first fight with Orion Kostis versus Philip Rowe. Talk to me about this fight, my man.
All right, so we got Rowe versus Kosi. The interesting thing about this one is Rowe's got like a 9-inch reach advantage here. He's pretty light on his feet. Don't love his takedown defense by any stretch of the imagination. But when he does get taken to the mat, the grappling he doesn't look like a complete fish out of water down there. Like, he knows how to throw up some submissions, at least submissions, not necessarily to get the submission, but to get back to his feet, to get his opponent a little bit scared or to move position so he can battle back to his feet. I think if he can keep this on the feet, keep circling away on angles, he should be able to pick Kosi apart. It was actually the first bet I made on the card was Rowe. I got him for plus 150. I see plus 130s to plus 140s out there. Completely fine with a play on the dog here in the first fight of the night. What do you like?
I do like the upside of Kosi, though. I can see the upside that he brings to the table with the cardio and the striking. That's what worries me against Philip Rowe at the same time. But then on the flip, there's that reach advantage. I'm like, what the fuck are we gonna do with that reach advantage of being so high? So again, I'm kind of on the same boat with you. I do like Philip Rowe. They're both coming from DWCS. They know what's considered series. Both have good history. I think they both have upside going into the UFC field. But again, it's just that reach advantage that scares me for Philip Rowe, which is why I'm kind of leaning towards him. But I can see why you want the value of Kostis. I like both brothers. I think they're both brothers are coming up in the UFC.
Cool. Yeah. It's 9-inch reach advantage for Rowe is really I mean, Kosi on his Contender Series fight, he did win by utilizing that grappling and gassing out his opponent. Like, I think it's just close. My general mentality is it's just closer to a 50-50 fight.
Exactly.
So in those situations, you're going to give me a plus 140.
Yeah.
That's where my
In the first fight of the
But
night.
yeah, in all fairness, this entire card, I usually do like small, medium, large kind of bets, and like everything's a small bet. I only have four bets on the card. It's just there's so many question marks with a lot of people on this card, whether it's debuts or layoffs and yada yada yada, that it's like it's really hard to like feel great about any of the spots that you're in on, in my opinion.
That's something. Yeah. That's the point of the card. I'd rather have this card than nothing, honestly. So that's kind of where I'm looking at is it's better than nothing. It's better than us just not watching fights. But Trayvon Jones versus Ronnie Lawrence. The Ronnie Lawrence won me a lot of money last fight. So talk to me about this fight, my man.
Yeah. So you got Lawrence versus Jones. Jones, I mean, I watched his regional scene tape, and I was just, this guy's cost me a whole bunch of money already because I wasn't impressed by the regional scene tape. Apparently, he's got a black belt and an accredited black belt.
Apparently.
So that should be interesting when he takes on Ronnie Lawrence here. But I did not see these knockouts coming.
Yeah.
It did not show up on the tape, the regional scene tape. But it's like this guy's got like the death touch or something. It's a little bit terrifying. Like he was next to dead up against the cage against Timur Valiev in his debut. He was eating body shots and like really hurled over, not having a good time. And then he was able to find the finish. Same with his next fight out. It's just like the guy's got power in his hands. That's a little bit scary. But I'm fading him again, and let's hope that he doesn't cost me money. I ended up parlaying him with Nico Montana, who I think is the safest favorite on the card.
Agreed.
This week, which I mean, that just kind of tells the safest card with Nico Montano is your quote unquote lock. There are no locks in MMA.
Yeah.
But I think Ronnie's just going to push a pace. Hopefully his grappling good enough, like when he gets down there, to stay out of trouble, don't get submitted. I did see him get rocked a little bit in round one, like with about a minute left against Cachero. So that does give me a little bit of concern. But it's Ronnie Lawrence for me.
It has to be for me. I mean, as soon as I said takedown city, that's pretty much what this is going to be. I mean, if you go look at prize picks, his over and under for takedowns is 3.5. I don't know if that's gone up since today, since I've looked, but again, this is going to be a takedown machine for Ronnie Lawrence. I don't like Trayvon Jones. I never have. I don't think I ever will. So that's just, I know it is what it is for me with Ronnie Lawrence for the takedowns. That's basically where I'm looking at. I don't see any other path to victory for him. I don't think either side has the striking advantage. So I'm going with just that better grappling, which is I think Lawrence. So but going to Ashley Yoder and Jin Frey. Go ahead and start it. I know. Just go ahead.
All right. Well, this is gonna be likely a bit of a stinker. Both women, when they're on the feet, don't exactly throw too much volume out there.
Never.
It's like 40 significant strikes in 15 minutes. It's a lot of a feeling out process. But watching, Jin Frey's like 35 years old at this point. I think we're seeing finished product with her. Maybe we're seeing the finished product with Yoder as well. But watching Frey versus Hansen, it led me to believe that the takedown should be there for Yoder. If this stays on the feet for 15 minutes, Yoder's not able to get takedowns, I can see Jin Frey pulling off the upset. But I think more often than not, Yoder's able to at least find 2 to 3 takedowns in the first 2 rounds, maybe hold on in round 3. I'm picking Yoder, but I wouldn't be.
I mean, there's no confidence behind me either.
There's no bet being made here. I'm not too confident, but I think the takedown's there for her to get. And I think it's going to be a really, really close fight, but I think, Yoder's the pick for me.
If you had to, who has the better resume, in your opinion, between these two girls?
Better resume. Let's see here. All right, so we go Ashley Yoder. In terms of wins on their record, we'll do it that way, right?
Yeah,
all right.
She
beat Amanda Bobby Cooper. She beat Sayuri Kondo and Miranda Granger. Not exactly a murderer's row.
yeah.
Let's see for Jinyu Frey. Jinyu Frey has wins over Gloria DePaula, who we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
And then we're into Invicta, where it's Ashley Cummings. Honestly, in terms of the wins, yeah, it's Yoder that actually has the higher level of, the wins that she's had. Like, literally, besides Erica Tiburcio, who she beat in 2016.
God.
I don't watch too much Invicta, but I watch enough Invicta, and I don't know who any of these other people are. And I've been watching this stuff for years, so Yoder does have the higher level wins, I suppose you could say, in MMA as well.
That's kind of where I'm looking at because of her resume. The quicker punches, I think it's just the volume is not going to be there, but she has a good frame, the good body work. I think she can handle Frey, but again, there's no really official bet for me in this fight. If I'm looking at it, if Frey can get the grappling there for her, I think she can get this fight. But again, there's no bet. This is an ugly fight. I hate it, to be honest with you. That's all I can really say. I hate this fight with a passion. I hate trying to break down Ashley Yoder. I'm getting tired of it, especially when I had to break her down against Angela Hill. So,
yeah, I mean, in that fight, it was, and that was the rematch nobody asked for, and it's just like
nobody wanted.
She can't really get the takedown, so she's gonna get murdered on the feet. Like,
exactly,
it is what it is. Like, I know that Hill was a big favorite in that spot, but it played out exactly like that. And the books are getting sharp these days about like these totals. You can't exactly just jam money at like the over 2.5 is like minus 420. It's like,
which is
you're starting to get into banana peel pricing where there's an armbar from guard, or somebody gets injured, or there's just a fluke punch. Like, you're starting to get into, well, does this happen 85 to 90% of the time? Because that's the only way that you should even be adding a money line like that to even a parlay or anything like that. So it's got like stay away written all over it, but gun to my head, Yoder.
Exactly. Going to a better fight, I think. I honestly think this is a decent fight on the card. Danny Chavez versus Kai Kamaka. How do you feel about this fight, man?
I got a little Skrilla on Chavez in this fight. He didn't have a great time out last time out against Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon was like 150 pounds. It was 150-pound catch weight. Gordon is a little bit larger of an individual than Chavez, and Gordon was able to push his pace, use the wrestling, control the fight. But you go back to his TJ Brown fight before that, utilizing the leg kicks and the takedowns, like hitting the leg kicks early, causing damage to TJ Brown's leg. I kind of look at this matchup, and I know that TJ Brown has fought Kai Kamaka as well. And I just watching his fights, I see that lead legs out there. I feel like he could really reenact that exact fight where it's like throw some leg kicks, and then go for the takedown. So I've got a little Skrilla on Danny Chavez. I got him at plus 100. I think he should probably be more. I think it's like a 60-40 proposition here. So I'm thinking maybe even better, but 60-40. So that would be like the line should be like minus 50 in this spot. I thought anything in plus money range is a good shot on Danny Chavez, in my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, I really like that about him. I think that he does take this fight. I think the loss that he had was just because of the gas tank. I don't think it really was like anything with his game overall. But like I said, the calf kicks is what's doing it for me in this fight. I think he handles business against Kamaka. I think Kai has the better striking, yes. And we obviously know him from the generational talent from his family and everything. So we kind of know his background. But I think this is the bounce back spot for Danny Chavez. I think he's sharper with the punch. I think he throws better volume. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. I want the fighter who has a better punch and the better, basically the all-around game, which I think that's going to be Danny Chavez. I think this is a great, like I said, bounce-back fight. I think the money line is good for him also. So overall, I'm just kind of on him more so than Kai Kamaka. I think this is another loss for Kamaka that he's going to have to chalk up. But again, like I said, I'm kind of taking Danny Chavez just based on the all-around game with him. So, so going to the next fight with Chris Grutzmeyer versus Rafa Garcia. How do you feel about this fight?
I think Rafa Garcia looked pretty good. Like, I think he was put into a very, very tough spot coming in on short notice against Nasrat Haqparast in his UFC debut. Exactly. And he lost every single round. And he lost every single round pretty convincingly, but he didn't look out of place. Like, he looked like you watch that fight and you're like, this guy can win some fights in the UFC. So, good matchmaking by the UFC. I think they gave him one of the easier guys in the division. I have no explanation for what happened to Joe Lozon when he went out there.
Yeah, we're not talking about
that. Way back when, because Grutzmacher has never looked like that level of world beater in his whole damn
career. I'm not talking about that. Yeah.
And then and I think I got double screwed by that, because after seeing Lozon get absolutely mollywopped against Grutzmacher, he goes out against Jonathan Pierce and then puts on a goddamn clinic, beats the piss out of that guy. So I think I got double screwed. So it's like I was like, Lozon proved last fight he's dead. I don't know what was wrong with him that day, but from what I see from Rafa Garcia, his stand-up looked pretty solid. I'm told that his grappling is actually where his best work. So I gotta pick him. I think the price for admission at minus 300, minus 320 or something like that. I think that's we're getting a little bit wide for somebody who's relatively unproven. And what are we really? We're judging him off of looking all right in a loss, which can always be dangerous stuff. But I think he's the more talented guy. I want to see. I wouldn't advise putting any money on him in this spot. Maybe he's a DraftKings play or something like that. I wouldn't bet him at the current money line, just because I want to see more of his work on the ground. Maybe we see that in this fight, and we'll get a better sense of the full picture for him, because we didn't get to see any of his groundwork last time out. The hands looked okay, and I think it's enough to get by Chris Grutzmacher. But the price is just too steep.
I'd say, given that his price is at $9,500 right now, as I pull it up, there's I don't know if I want to pay that price tag for him. That's a hefty price tag. Do I think he wins this fight? I do. Like I said, Grutzmeyer, he has good cardio and just an all-around okay fighter. Like we talked about with the Lozano, you don't know what we're going to get out of this guy. But Garcia, he had a tough loss. I think that was a very tough loss for him. I think he's improved in his overall game. I think he's definitely kind of looked back on the tape and thought about what he could improve on, which I think he improved on everything. Honestly, I think he worked on the striking. Like you said, the grappling's there. So all around, I think he can handle this fight. Honestly, do I want to pay that $9,500 price tag though? Not really. But if this goes to points, I'll take it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, 95. DraftKings this week is kind of tricky, but there's a fight later on where it's like, now you have a minus 200 favorite for $7,000. So there is salary savings to be had. But obviously, Nicholas Stolze, who we'll talk about later, is uber. He'll be uber chalk. You got to figure.
Yeah. So going into the next fight, Colin Angelia versus Melzik Bagaraja. How do you feel about this fight, man?
Banger. This fight should be an absolute banger. Melzik, at least on the regional scene, he was getting cupcake matchups, and he was just smashing dudes in under a minute. Comes into the Contenders series, takes on Dennis Bazooka.
Yep. And
he came out firing. That entire first round. Props to Dennis. Dennis is able to survive that early onslaught. But you could kind of see this is a super, super aggressive guy with good technique, cardio, leaves a lot to be desired. But he was still able to hold on, get the decision win. But round one, there's only, if you're that type of assault, that type of attack is going to finish a lot of guys. He's landing some good, clean shots. His opponent just wasn't able to go away. On the other side, it was like Anglin kind of out-cardioed his opponent. So it's a matter of like, it's your classic MMA matchup where you got like striker versus grappler.
Literally.
In this spot, and cardio versus, early aggression. From a straight up pick perspective, I think Melsik's going to put him away, maybe in round 1. From a bet perspective, I'm on the under 2.5 rounds, and I took fight doesn't go to the decision because I don't want to be scum-goated if it ends up being finished in the last 2.5 minutes of the fight. Like Melsik's all dead and tired, and then Anglin gets a finish. I think this fight gets finished inside the distance much more than 50% of the time. And they're still hanging plus money out there. So that's where my money's in on this one.
That's what I typed that in my notes, that this is literally just a grappler versus a striker battle. This is what it is, which we have a few of those on this card. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. Both came from Dana White's Contender Series, obviously. I think Melsik handles business here. I think he goes out there and just goes balls to the wall with the striking. I think he puts this fight to a finish with him. I don't think Colin will hang with him on the feet. If this does somehow go to the mat and Colin does get him to the mat, I think that's where you can possibly win this fight for him. But again, I'm liking that price tag, $8,600 for Melsik. I think it's funny how they don't even have his picture up; they just have his flag. So if we're gonna go look at DraftKings right now, it's literally his hometown flag. So, but I kind of like that price tag for him at $8,600. Do I want him or Ronnie Lawrence at that price tag? That's kind of a coin flip for me. If I want Ronnie Lawrence at $8,700, or you can do both, obviously. Because if we get to that last one, I don't know. If we get to that 7,000 guy, I think we're both on the same page. So let's go to the next fight, man. Let's get up there. What Montano versus Wu? How do you feel about this fight, man?
I think Nico Montano. I mean, what? It's been 2 years since she's fought. She's had 5 canceled fights.
Just something like that.
A whole bunch of jokes in the MMA world. But she's actually a pretty talented fighter. Now, a lot of people.
That's the thing. She's actually good.
She's actually pretty good. Her record doesn't look like it. She's 4-3, but like she's fought some really, really good opponents in her career.
Yeah.
And like Roxy, people used to make fun of Roxy. Roxy's much more respected now. And like she put that was 2017. I think Roxy's made a lot of steps since then, but she put an absolute whooping on Roxy to win the belt. The belt.
Yeah, the belt.
The belt at the time. And then obviously the fight with Shevchenko never happened for health reasons, whatever you want to call it. But I think she's pretty good. Like, the follow-up fight later on was against Juliana Pena. And Pena's a big, domineering, physical fighter, big for 135 pounds. And because of her size and strength, kind of took a lot of Montano's strengths off of the table. She could strike with her, and she did pretty well at that in round 1. But, she's actually a pretty solid grappler as well. And against Pena, who's so much stronger and bigger than you, that was kind of gone. But round 1, she clearly won round 1 against Pena. And then it felt like, she got worn down from trying to push around a bigger woman in Juliana Pena. I think Nico Montano is a solid MMA fighter, and I can't say this for Wu, who I think is pretty one-dimensional. I don't think her grappling's anywhere on the same level. The striking looks pretty rudimentary. I think we're actually getting pretty decent value, and that's why I think Montano is my favorite. She's my quote-unquote lock, as I said earlier. I think that she's miles away more talented. Just people don't trust her, think that she's horrible. Maybe casual people probably look and they see the 4-3 record and they go, "Oh my God, 4-3."
Yeah.
But it's like in MMA, it's just like it's a matter of who you fought, not certain people have fought. There's certain people in MMA who are great fighters, like Matt Brown. Matt Brown's got over 50 or 20 losses on his MMA record, but he's a solid MMA fighter all the way around. It's not like boxing where it's like they fight 20 cans before they ever fight anybody that's even remotely in their same level of skill.
No.
I think Montano rolls here. I think -240. I think I've got my sheet from Dogger Pass actually in front of me. It's getting closer to -300, but I still think even at that price, that she's still a viable parlay piece. And I think maybe this is crazy. Is she a good DraftKings play this week?
At her price tag?
Will people play her? And if she has a grappling advantage over Wu Yanan, plus like against Roxy, she was able to land like 170 strikes in 5 rounds. I think she could be like the low-owned person up there potentially. I don't know what other people in the community are saying about her, but I feel like maybe she ends up being like the 20% owned piece up top that ends up going for like 120 points.
Okay, so backtrack to that though. Do you trust her more at that 9,100 price tag, or do you trust Garcia at 96 or 95?
Her.
You trust her more at 91?
I do, because I don't know what type of if the Chris Grutzmacher who showed up against Joe Lozon shows up. It could be a rough night. I don't have a good read on Grutzmacher because it's just like a tale of guys. But like I feel like Nico is a much safer option in my opinion.
Okay, Nico or Cheyenne Bice at 8,900.
Nico.
Okay, we're on the same page. About to say.
Yeah, you like Nico as a DraftKings play too?
I trust her more than I trust Cheyenne Bice.
Yeah.
I think it's a coin flip on Garcia.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll get to buys. I wish I could say that. Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
We'll get to her. We'll get to this. So, yeah, we're on the same page, man, with Montano. I like her. I think Wu, she's a striker, obviously. I think she has good hands and quotation marks. I mean, she can throw bombs. But overall, I think the resume speaks for herself with Nico. I think she handles this fight. Again, I don't think people know a lot about her. I think that's basically more room for us to play her. So I'm trying to kind of taking the leverage play with her. So I kind of like that price tag also as a parlay piece. I wish I would have hopped on it sooner. But going to Barberino versus Jason Witt, I'll be interested to see how you feel about this fight.
I used to love Brian Barberina, but now I'm just not so sure. You know,
so many questions.
He was just like indestructible. Just like you knew that he was going to throw. He's going to throw them hands. Yeah. He's going to move forward. He was going to eat a lot of shots, but he wouldn't get finished. He was so tough. And like everybody who has that, that ability, Diego Sanchez is, and the list goes on and on. It's just like eventually you take so much damage, your body just shuts down eventually. And he got finished by Vicente Luque, no shame in that. Got finished by Randy Brown. That's a rising contender. Kind of a bad stylistic matchup. A big 170-pounder. And Brian Barberini used to fight at 155 pounds. It's like, we'll give him a pass for that. Getting taken down by Anthony Ivy 5 times is so. I kind of, me and my man Cody talked about it on the show, and the more we kind of talked about it, it just seems like for that chalk price, like Jason Witt on the other hand, it's like if you can trust, you can throw hands, his chin is very, very, very.
About to say,
like his chin is unbelievably suspect. So, like Barberina could very well go out there and knock his head off in the first 3 or 4 minutes kind of thing. But, James Krause in his corner, you watch Anthony Ivy fight, James Krause goes, we're going to try to wrestle. And Jason Witt is a pretty strong guy in his own right. His grappling is pretty solid. We saw that when he took on, Cole Smith, was it? No, Cole Williams, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh. That guy was a big time, missed weight twice and then lost twice and got cut. Wow, not a great scene from him. But I feel like right now James Krause is probably like the smartest strategist that we're seeing in the game, and he knows the limitations of his fighters. He'll have them ready that we're not engaging, we're not going to get into a brawl with this guy. We're going to be trying to take this to the mat. And with, Brian Barberina, how he looked last time out, he's had like surgery and stuff like that. I can't get on board with playing him at the chalk prices that we currently see. Minus 265 when I wrote it up the other day. What is he going for now? Sorry, I'll close that. Brian Barberina on the market is, anywhere from minus 260 to minus 285. I mean, it's probably a pretty fair money line if Brian Barberina still has, his legendary durability, at least at this level of opponent. But yeah, it's not a price I'm going to pay after seeing Anthony Ivy take him down 5 times. So it's a straight up pass for me. I'll lean towards Barberina from a picks perspective, but if I had to bet one side, it would be Witt. But I'm not going to bet because I don't bet guys that I don't think have chins.
That lose to Matthew Smellsberger in literally round 1 and then gets his head knocked off.
Yeah, so, I was all over Semmelsberger by knockouts. Semmelsberger by knockout. That's because they lined that fight as like close to a pick'em, so it was easy money. The value was definitely there. I mean, what's Brian Barberina round 1 knockout? I bet you it's probably, let's see here.
That's probably sky high.
It's not that bad actually. It's like plus 270 for him in round 1. That's like not too crazy. If you were gonna go the Brian Barberina route, I'd probably suggest a Barberina round 1 or Barberina by KO is plus 160. I would get off of the money line at minus 280, 275, whatever. I think you might as well just go for the KO prop. Hope he cracks him, and that's how he gets the job done. I think Barberina by KO is where I would put my money.
That's the thing. It's just which one are we getting with Barberina? That's the thing. Like you said, are we going to get the durable guy, the one who has great hands, or are we going to get the dude who is just not prepared for this fight? That's the thing. But on the flip side, I do not trust Jason Witt. I never have. I never will, based on just how he fights. But like I always say, I give fighters a little bit of an edge when I see James Cross in their corner, like with Derek Minner, with guys like that. I mean, James Krause is literally like changing the game as we can see it. I see this every time we do a video when I have James Krause. He's just changing the game of the UFC and changing guys that are backing them. So again, do I want to trust Jason Witt with James Krause in this corner with a bad chin, or do I want to trust Barberina with a lot of question marks with a bunch of maybes? So do I want to pay Barberina's price tag on DK also at 9,600? That's a hefty price tag. You're going to want that round 1 knockout for sure. Mm-hmm. But Jason Witt at 6'6", I can see it and I can understand it. But there's another guy that I want down there that I can easily pay a price tag for. So going to the next fight, though, babyface Ryan Benoit versus Zakharov Adeshev. How do you feel, my
man? Adeshev should have the advantages, significant advantages on the feet. Former kickboxer. Transitioning to MMA, his 3-3, his 3-3 record leaves a little bit to be desired. Obviously, Tyson Nam finished him in the first round. He looked all right in spots against Suma Derji. Made that a lot closer fight than the money line at the time would have suggested in that fight. I thought he looked like a guy who was making significant improvements. Yeah, he was a plus 390 underdog going into that fight. Everybody was on the fade train. There should be significant wrestling advantages for Ryan Benoit, but you go through like most of his fights and it's like, when does he ever really commit to fighting the wrestling? And I think when does he ever really commit to like going after takedowns, securing takedowns? Now, in fairness, maybe it's because of the opponents that he's been matched up against over the course of his career. In fairness, like Haile Alatang Hali is a super strong dude. Tim Elliott is a master grappler in his own right. So maybe it's a matchup thing. I just don't trust Ryan Benoit to stick to the game plan and stay off of the feet with this guy, because I think that the advantages obviously are there. He gets this to the mat, he's going to be able to control. Maybe he's got a massive grappling advantage. He's able to fish for a sub or something like that. I don't know about that, but I can't trust him to actually constantly go to that takedown. So I'm leaning towards Zaruk Adeshev in this spot, but not a spot I really love. What about you?
I think he's made improvements. Adeshev has. I think from how he's looked in the past, I think he's definitely had a better mental game and kind of physically like prepared himself way more than we've seen before. But do we trust Ryan Benoit? I mean, lately, who's been super up and down. That's the thing. Is on paper you would think Ryan Benoit should handle this fight, but if you watch UFC and you're not a casual, I mean, I can see Adeshev winning this fight, honestly, based on just the physical game and how his background has been in kickboxing. His background's in just basically with the striking. I think if he's improved, and I think if he goes into this fight and with the mentality of I'm better than Ryan Benoit right now, and I'm physically fit, I'm ready to go, I think he can handle it. Honestly, that's what I basically typed up is, do I think Adeshev can handle his own? And I think he can. I think, like I said, the matchup is close, yes, but I think this is the rise of Adeshev, honestly. And I mean, I could be wrong. I could be completely off the train track with this, but I do think Adeshev is making a shit ton of improvements, and I think he can finally work his way up in the UFC. But going to the Nick Stolze fight versus Jared Gooden, can we both agree that we're fading Jared Gooden easily?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't, in fairness, I haven't rewatched tape on Gooden yet. When we did the show, Gooden had just been added to the card. And I had watched Stolze tape. He didn't have very, I mean, it's hard to look good against Ramazan Amiev, and that was his UFC debut, which is a tough spot for anybody. But yeah, he landed like a nice like flying knee in the fight. He's got some crafty striking. I'm not entirely sure about his grappling yet. Night Train, on the other hand, like, I mean, to the ghost of Alan Jouban. He got hit with 168 strikes, and he's coming in on short notice at a weight class that he's struggled to make even at the best of times. Yeah, we're fading Jared Gooden. I mean, on DraftKings at 7,000 flat,
you have to play Stolze.
I mean, he's the free square. Now, I guess for the people who play 150 lineups, maybe, just maybe, there's some value to having like 10% of Jared Gooden, just in case, because Stolze is pretty unproven at this level. But short notice, I mean, we're going to learn a lot from the weigh-ins on Friday. I have a feeling that Jared Gooden's going to show up and he's either A, going to look awful on the scales, or B, miss weight altogether, which will just amplify the amount of chalk, and rightfully so, on Nick Stolze at $7,000. Like, it's rare. I've always had debates with people about this before, and it's like, well, it's like minus 200 to, or minus 190 to minus 220 around the markets right now. I've always had debates with people, and they're like, oh, but he's going to be so much chalk. It's just like, yeah, but if he wins and he gets if he gets 85 points at 7,000 on DraftKings, you need
what else do you want?
Throwing money away to the rest of the field. I mean, I take those spots every single time. I just lock the button, and I mean, who is it? It was Giga Chikadze ended up in a situation like this, didn't he? Where he's like 7, and then some of the people were like victory lapping on it after the fact, because he only got like 72 points. But it's like, I don't know. He's
what else do you want? That's what I'm saying.
A lot better than a lot of the other options that were that cheap. He didn't go to his ceiling projection, but he didn't kill you either. He still got the win. He still got like 70 points. So even if it ends up with that type of situation, maybe he's not in the $100,000 winning lineup at the end of the night. But I mean, in single entry and cash games, like lock, stock, and barrel at that point, right?
Exactly. I'll be interested to see how you feel about this fight. Is the Kang fight versus Ronnie Yaya? I'll be interested. I want to see what your take is. Talk to me, my man.
Oh,
I know. I want to hear you first, and then I'll.
I mean, Kang hasn't fought in a long time. He's got like a 6-7 inch reach advantage here. I like what he does with the jab. He lands the jab very effectively. He uses every little bit of his reach. I think that jab is going to cause Ronnie some big time problems. He's got to get out he's got to get out to the lead on Ronnie, because you win round one, you tire Ronnie out. If Ronnie's not able to get these takedowns early,
that's the thing. Yeah, is the grappling.
He'll fade late. Like he'll start flopping to his back. He'll start doing some stupid shit. I'm leaning towards Kang here, but Ronnie's been more active. Ronnie's hands have improved quite a bit recently. And I'm not convinced that Kang can stop the takedown from Ronnie. So it's a fight that I'm pretty uncomfortable and a little bit nervous about. But I'm leaning towards Kang. He's able to circle around and just utilize that jab, stay out of trouble. I guess that's how I see it playing out. But another fight that I don't feel too confident in.
So the question is, though, I think Kang does have grappling. We've seen him have a few submission wins.
Yeah, but grappling and then hanging out with Ronnie Yaya are two different story. You don't want to put down. It's like,
that's what I'm saying. I feel you. That's the thing. Do I think he's
my boy Habib? They'd be like, "Oh, Tony Ferguson, he's a black belt. He's a black belt." Like, good. You know, the same thing happened with Thiago Moises and Islam Makhachev a few weeks ago. So, this is the best grappler Makhachev's faced. It's that's where he wants the fight to be. You do not want to be against this
on the same side.
Grappler. So I'm sorry. I got to
hear me out. Just hold on. Pause. Hold on.
All right, I got you.
He does have submission. That's my thing. Is if he can tire Ronnie Yaya out with the striking, and then say he goes to round 3, and Yaya's completely out of the works. Do I think he can get that sub on the map? If Ronnie Yaya tries to go for one more sub, I think Kang can hang with him on the ground in the 3rd round. That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. Before you interrupted and started yelling. Yeah. That's my point.
I get excited sometimes. No, that makes a lot of sense. It's like if he utilize that jab early, keep him at bay. Ronnie flops for a bunch of takedowns, but
as we talk over you now. We talk over you.
He gets a desperation one late, and it's fine.
Exactly. See, I was agreeing with you. That's my point.
No, I know. I got excited. I just wanted to somehow bring up Habib and all the Dagestanis in way, shape, or form.
I know that you had to. Now going to the Cheyenne Buys and Gloria DePaula. Talk to me, man.
Can Buys wrestle?
Yeah.
Because this fight was a lot easier if she could. Gloria DePaula showed me absolutely nothing in the grappling department against Jin Yu.
Other than she can yell.
She lied there. She once Frey was able to get her to the mat, she was just flat on her back for the entire rest of the round. I'm sure she's been, working on things, making improvements in between camps, but that wasn't all that long ago.
Yeah.
And it's hard to improve that much. What I've seen from Buys is her grappling isn't all that bad. I know that, I was on Montserrat Ruiz, Caneo when they fought, and that's just because I saw Bays when she took on Hillary Rose on Contender Series. She just liked hanging out in that clinch position a little bit too much up against the cage, and I was just like, that's where Neck Tat does her best work. So I kind of saw that if she was happy or like a little too willing to be in that position, I thought that it would work out for Ruiz as a big underdog. And it did. It worked out. It was not pretty. A bunch of people got really, really triggered on Twitter. But that's just the game we play sometimes. I've just never really seen her shoot for a takedown. But, like, if she's hanging out on the feet, Gloria DePaula's Muay Thai looks all right. I think this is a really, really competitive fight on the feet. I'm hoping Bays in her corner, and that's the thing. It's just like, well, if they were real strategists and they had watched a little bit of tape on Caneo, they would have realized shit, don't get engaged into any clinch positions whatsoever. That's how we lose the fight. If she can wrestle whatsoever, she wins this fight because I think her grappling is all right. She's able to get out of positions and everything like that. On the feet, it's going to be close. I'll lean towards Bays, and hopefully they got a great game plan, but not a fight I'm betting, especially at minus 170. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not really too high on either fighter in here. Again, I mean, we've seen Paula. The one good thing that she has is her screaming. So that's pretty much, yeah, that's going to be her main thing is that she's going to go out there and start screaming at you. So, but can buy shoot for the takedown. Literally, I mean, if she has the grappling, she can get by. So, again, I don't know what to expect out of these two fighters. There's not really much to expect, like I said, other than just a screaming matchup and a bad strategy coming from Cheyenne Buys. So, which we've seen that multiple times before with her and her husband. So, again, there's not much I want. I'd rather go to the main event, to be honest with you. I think we're both ready to go to this Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland fight. So, go and start me off. How do you feel?
This one's I've really struggled with all week. I mean, Strickland's looked like an absolute train at 185 pounds. It's been a great move for him. Obviously, he got into that motorcycle accident, which I think is the reason why he realized he couldn't continue to cut down to 170 pounds. Plus, on top of that, getting that wheel kick from Zaleski dos Santos sent him to the netherworlds, and maybe he's just like, I just can't take a punch at this weight class. The guy's got really, really crisp striking. He's really put it on display. Looked amazing against Brendan Allen. Just kind of flipped the hurt on him. Ate some shots. He ate like 50 significant strikes in 2 rounds against him there. But he delivered like 92. Like, the pace is huge. I think his cardio's on point. But at minus 210, I think the value's on Uriah Hall here. I'm not convinced that Strickland's a better striker than him. I think Uriah Hall is one of the better strikers that he's ever faced in his career. And I feel like, the last time he took on somebody who has a little bit of unconventional striking, it took him for a whirl when he took on Zaleski dos Santos. Strickland could very well win this fight. Pressure Uriah Hall. Don't let him get off any of those kicks. Just keep in his face. Keep going after. These guys have trained together as well, so I'm sure they have a pretty damn good idea of what it looks like when the two of them are going at it. I'm sure they've probably done a little bit of sparring together anyways. But yeah, from a value perspective, I think the value is on Uriah Hall. It's a fight I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to see the weigh-ins tomorrow, see what they look like standing next to each other. Maybe I can get a read on something, but I keep coming back to, Strickland uses that jab, he uses that pressure. He's only got 76-inch reach. He's given up 3.5 inches of reach to Uriah Hall here, and I feel like he may just, like, pressuring forward, he may just run into a shot. So Uriah Hall is the pick for me in the main event of UFC Vegas 33.
Yeah. Do you think the Brendan Allen fight does him good or bad, basically, on that resume with him beating Brendan Allen, based on how Allen has looked?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very solid quality win. I thought his win there. I was more impressed by that win than against Krzysztof Jotko last time out. I thought he was a little bit more hesitant on the feet. Jotko doesn't keep the same pace, which I think would be a little bit more comparable to Uriah Hall. It'll be a little bit of a slower pace against Hall than it would have been against Brendan Allen, who was just there to brawl.
I'm all over Uriah Hall, to be honest with you.
You like him?
I like him, especially at the $6,900 price tag. You can get him on DraftKings.
Boom, yeah.
He's literally next to Jared Gordon.
High knockout potential.
Huh?
High knockout potential.
I think Uriah Hall is motivated. I think that we're going to see a different Uriah Hall in this fight than we have normally. I think that this being a training partner, that the history that them two have together, Uriah Hall, the kind of namesake, is just things are going bad for him. I think this is where he finally turns it up and proves why he belongs still in the main event spot. I think Strickland, he needs to pressure him against the cage, like we were saying. If he can just like continue the pace, keep the pace up into rounds 4 and 5, I think he can win. But I'm on Uriah Hall. I think he pinpoint that punch. I think he's a better calf kicks also. I think he's a better overall game. Like I said, I don't like the Strickland's wins. I mean, Brendan Allen, we've seen Brendan Allen. I think it's a good win. But again, based on how we've seen Brendan Allen up and down, I'd rather have Uriah Hall based on the resume also. And I'm kind of biased because I literally have a poster in front of me with Uriah Hall signed. So
you got fanboy. No,
I'm kind of biased, obviously. So again, it's kind of where I'm at. He's one of my DraftKings buys. That's my favorite play on DraftKings. Literally at 6,900, and it's not because it's 69. It's because of the price point that he's at the below. So
very nice price.
I know, right? One of the favorites. So again, who's your favorite DraftKings play before we head out of here to win?
I think it's Nico Montano.
Oh God,
that's not a very popular thing to say.
I knew it, dude.
I can't even imagine making a lineup without Nico Montano in it. Which God has got my soul. That's where I'm at this week. So
if you do play just for kind of shits and giggles, if you do have Stolze at 7,000, the free tag, you have Hall at 69, and you have Montana. If we go look at all this price tag, that leaves you literally with 9,000 left over.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so, you can do a lot. So yeah, I'm even working on my little the lineup I have right now. I'm seeing what it looks like with Hall. All right, then the world is your damn oyster.
Literally, dude. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, Danny Chavez, I think, is a pretty good play at 8K. I just don't know if the volume's going to be there. Hopefully the wrestling is. I mean, even in that decision win against Beatdown Brown, who's usually a high scorer, I guess he only scored 74 points. So maybe he's not a great DraftKings play. Better as a plus money bet. Yeah, who's your favorite play, did you say?
I love Uriah Hall.
Uriah Hall.
I'm on the main
event. That is bold. I like it.
So that's kind of what we're looking at. We just wrote Dirty Bunch. That wraps up the show, guys. Again, thank you for tuning in. I'm happy to have you on here, Paul. It was a fun time breaking down the card with you. Definitely go follow him. Go check him out at Pat Mayo. It's a hell of a fun time watching him chug beers, obviously, on the set. So, again, that wraps up this UFC card. If y'all have any more questions, obviously hit me or him up, and that pretty much wraps us up for us, guys. So, again, have a great and safe rest of your night. Have a good one, everybody.